It is day 2 of NAB Show in Las Vegas. Thousands of you are walking the floor, attending sessions, checking out those products, and chatting with colleagues, old and new. This is NAB Show Live, your daily connection to everything happening here at the Convention Center. Hey there, we are coming to you from NAB Show Studio 1, right in the middle of the action. Good afternoon to you. I am Rich DeMuro. A special welcome to our friends live streaming us right now at nabshow.com. It is 4 o'clock. We've got a great show for you planned. Lots to talk about. We're going to talk to folks from Accenture. We're going to see some students who are getting the studio experience. And we're going to read your tweets and much more. All right, let's get started with some highlights from the past 24 hours.
But my connection with NAB is a lot deeper than that, because you all made me the greatest gift and the happiest man possible, because in the 1980s, the Vice President of Government Relations of the NAB was a woman by the name of Carol Randalls. I was at NCTA, and we were the Hatfields and McCoys at the time. And we fell in love. And so the greatest thing that ever happened in my life is a direct result of the NAB, and I'll forever be grateful to you. That's true. And while spending almost a decade as a venture capitalist, as Gordon noted, I invested in efforts to bring mobile DTV to life. In other words, I put my money on the future of broadcasting. Today I have the American people as my client, and the actions we take at the FCC are built around the interests of that client. I strongly believe that the interests of the American people are served incredibly well by a vibrant broadcast community, by the ability to deliver entertainment and information, and for that special capability of being the first informer to our citizens.
So the recent movie American Hustle, maybe some of you have seen it. If you haven't, it was a movie that was set in New York City in the late 70s and early 80s. In order to recreate the New York street scenes of that era, they used cloud-based rendering from AWS partner Zinc to render some of those street scenes. They basically took those street scenes of today's shots of New York and then used Zinc render to render out some of the newer things. So like new construction that's happened on the buildings, some new cars and things that obviously wouldn't be available in the 70s and 80s. They were able to do that by spinning up thousands of instances on the AWS compute engine, EC2, within a moment's notice, without ever having to buy or rack or stack a single server.
I've been in Vegas since Saturday, and I've watched linear rebroadcast, VOD, content off my DVR, across 3 to 4 different devices, and I've never turned on my TV.
But in the future, we see it as an everyone to everyone economy and everything. Each of us will be wearing some kind of device. We will be another object on the Internet of Things with all the wearable computing power that's going to be out there. And that's going to create a world where everything will be contextual. Everything will be taking into account, if you will, the symbiotic relationship between the physical objects or us as individuals and the things we want to see out there. Everything will be orchestrated for us and based on our data to provide us what we want, but it'll also be predictive. It'll be cognitive. It'll use the powers of things like Watson to predict not only where you've been, but to predict where you'll go and want to go in the future, what content you want to see, what advertising you'll be more receptive to. And that'll go on as you go through your life cycle and as you change different things about your individual lifestyle. So, you know, the brave new world is just beginning.
I wondered how they did those street scenes of New York City and American Hustle, so now I know. And basically, if you're only walking the floor here at NAB Show, you're only getting half of your money's worth, because basically what's said in those sessions throughout the day makes headlines the next day. Okay, now let's go to Washington, D.C. for a chat with Kelly Cole. She handles government relations for NAB.
So tell us, how challenging is it on Capitol Hill right now, and how is that impacting broadcasters' issues?
It's probably an understatement to say it's sort of a challenging political environment in Congress right now. I mean, there's so much partisanship. And as Gordon Smith always says, while that's bad for the country, it's actually pretty good for broadcasters. Generally, the issues that we're working on tend to be defensive type issues. So the more partisanship, sort of the more anxiety there is on Capitol Hill, the less likely it is that bad things to broadcasters happen.
Give us an update on the key issues that are important to broadcasters.
Sure. On the television side, really the largest issue that we're facing right now is the issue surrounding retransmission consent and the Stella legislation that's moving its way through Congress right now. The Stella bill expires at the end of December 2014. So there's an effort underway by 4 different congressional committees to examine Stella and determine whether or not it needs to be authorized. Our friends on the other side of these issues, the cable and satellite companies, are very anxious to use Stella as a vehicle to get what they call retransmission consent reform. Of course, that's something we're fighting very hard right now. Really, our message to Capitol Hill is that Stella should be a clean bill with no controversial or unrelated provisions. So that's sort of winding its way through Congress right now. On the radio side, I think as in many other years, certainly since I've been at NAB, the performance tax issue is front and center. We don't have any current sort of serious legislative threat, but we want to do all we can to get members of Congress on our pro-radio resolution, the Local Radio Freedom Act.
Why do you think NAB's advocacy is so important?
It's really important to have people who are advocating on your behalf in front of these members of Congress. And I say that because as much as our industry understands our industry, knows our industry, understanding how broadcasting works, members of Congress don't.
But what other issues do you think we'll be focusing on in the coming year?
The Committee on Energy and Commerce in the House side is undertaking what they're calling a Communications Act rewrite. And this is a very sort of broad exercise that's going to cover lots of different issues, including broadcast issues. So what they're intending to do is take sort of a holistic, comprehensive look at all of the telecommunications laws and whether or not any of those need to be updated. We obviously have a big role to play in that debate. We've got, for instance, ownership rules that have been on the books for years and years and years, arguably don't make any sense anymore. So we have a lot to talk about in front of that committee. On the radio side, I think there's a lot of updating, again, of those rules that can be examined. Ownership on the radio side as well, just as important. That's probably the biggest one, I think, that will be starting this year that will carry over into future years. The spectrum issues, of course, don't go away. While the thrust of the activity on spectrum is really at the Federal Communications Commission right now, there's a lot of oversight that needs to be exercised by Congress to make sure that the FCC does it in a fair, statutory-based way. So we have no shortage of issues. It's fair to say that.
Now, throughout the day, NAB Show Live has a roving crew hitting the floor, checking out all the things that we think you should know about. Now, this is not a replacement for actually walking around yourself. In fact, I've been surprised how many people I've seen with these little fitness bands that are tracking their every move. This is kind of a fun place to have that, because already today I can see I've done over 8,700 steps, walked 4.3 miles. I'm sure you've done some of the same. Here is some of the tech we've seen on display at NAB Show 2014.
I'm Paul Babb from Max on Computer. We're at NAB 2014, and we've got a couple of really great announcements. We're announcing availability of Krakatoa coming in a week for Cinema 4D. It's a great integration. It's everything that you would expect from Krakatoa, and even a couple of features you haven't seen yet. And we've also, at the VizRT booth, they're showing integration with Cinema 4D with the VizRT system. And that's a complete live link, including geometry, textures, lights, animations, so real-time graphics with Cinema 4D live. Come by the booth. We've got great demonstrations. You can see some amazing presentations online, even if you're not at the show, at c4dlive.com. We've got an incredible lineup of 20 some odd artists showing some incredible projects from South Park to Game of Thrones to the Super Bowl to medical animation, visual effects, just amazing stuff. So come on by, see us, or watch us online.
So I'm Rudy with Wacom, and we're here at NAB 2014, and we're showing off our latest and greatest. Wacom has a history of pen and touch innovation. We've been around for 30 years, and this year we announced the creation of the Cintiq Companion and the Cintiq Companion Hybrid. For artists that know and love our Cintiq technology, our pen and tablet display technology, it is that same technology, but in a mobile form factor. Think of all the creative power of a workstation and the pen pressure of a Cintiq. So you have an idea, it strikes you wherever you happen to be, and instead of waiting until you get somewhere to get it down, you can literally pull out your Cintiq and start creating on the go. If you'd like to find out more about the Cintiq Companion, come visit us in the South Hall, booth 6129, and you can find out more at Wacom.com.
Hi, my name is Paul. I'm with Verizon. I'm a product manager, and I'd like to show you about our new product, Uplink, which is our cloud-based video platform. It handles live linear, VOD. Doesn't make a difference what type of content it is. We can handle it. It provides value to customers in that it's a single format for any type of device. We currently support up to 54 different types of devices. We encode one stream to multiple devices. So there's no deciding what type of format goes to iOS devices or what type of format do I need if I'm going to a PC, and let alone Android. All that goes away. It's very simple pricing. We charge by the hour for encoding, for storage, and for streaming. You no longer have to worry about any capex. So it's very flexible, very easy to use, very low cost.
Joining me now live is Darcy Lorenz, the Managing Director, Accenture Sports and Live Events. Thanks for being up here with us today.
Pleasure.
Tell us, what do you do with the live events?
Our job primarily is to get any kind of live event from the source to the destination, which today for us is second and third screen and not typically broadcast anymore.
Interesting. So it's all moving towards the tablet, the desktop, places not necessarily where the TV is?
Absolutely. And the TV is part of the connected world, but we're looking for the consumers that aren't connected at home and they're moving around enjoying sports wherever they are.
What is the big trend that you're seeing in this marketplace?
I think it's we saw the kind of democratization of the consumer, where they could be anywhere, anytime, and enjoy any kind of content. Now it's happening in the production side. The cloud is allowing us for the first time to create production environments on the fly, and actually lowering the bar where more and more events can come online because you don't have to have a lot of infrastructure. You can spin up an instance of a production studio online, and that trend is really creating a lot more events. Last year, we did 17,000 events, and the year before we did 5, so the growth is pretty dramatic.
Wait, 5,000 to 17,000?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So consumers are pretty much assuming that their event is going to be online at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, if it isn't, I think you're missing part of your audience today. And it might not be the majority of your revenue or even sometimes the significant part of what you want to do, but if you're not there, you're not relevant to a lot of the crowd.
How does social media play into all of this?
Social media in a number of ways. First of all, everybody tells everybody about what's going on in the event world, right? Sports is easy. The fan already was a socially connected. Today they're connected even in more real time. So they can proliferate the message about the event. They can tell their parents, their friends, their community of interest what's going on. And it also is creating a new paradigm for us where social media is becoming part of the editorial. Do you have to actually have a lot of editorial, or can the consumer and the audience get engaged and become part of the editorial and the experience? So you're seeing a lot of not just the social media in terms of people talking about the buzz of their event, like last night with the final basketball game, but also on the back end using that content to editorialize your live event.
Now here at NAB Show, what type of innovations or technology are you checking out there that you might put into your business?
Again, it comes back to the connected production versus connected consumer. Maybe 2 years ago, that was the buzzword, connected consumption. I think it's connected production. We're seeing drones with wireless cameras. We're seeing wireless cameras from companies like Teradek connected to the network now. JVC's got a new device out that you turn it on and you're connected. So what does that create? It creates a lot of new opportunities for new events to be online, but also for new angles of the event, new parts of the event, maybe the locker rooms, something's going on there, there's a buzz going on. When we do business with companies like Red Bull, for instance, they're all about the buzz, what's happening at the event, sometimes more important than the event itself. So that wireless connectivity of all those devices, combined with the cloud, we're looking for anything that we can put in the network. You saw the preamble here, we're working with network operators and partners like Verizon, and we want to put more and more in the network. Less complexity and make it frictionless for people to produce events, get them online, get the feeds in, and then obviously distribute properly to the whatever device.
And when all those feeds are in, sometimes you can even have consumers controlling what they see, because you may not use that for your main feed, but they can maybe dial up a camera and see what's on that camera.
Absolutely. That's, the multi-camera view. They had a slide earlier with showing what was going on in space with, in Stratus event last year. More and more multi-camera views, more cameras that can be put into the experience actually creates an experience by itself. So you have a much more higher production value with more cameras that a consumer can choose what they want to watch. And again, the editorial from the social media, you start to look at, do you really need a lot of production, or is that by itself production value? So there's kind of this balance, especially as you get down below the bar into amateur events and places where you don't have great production going on. That's good enough sometimes. So yeah, definitely the multi-camera view is alive and well in our world.
Yeah, if it's between not having the coverage at all and having sort of a smaller level, or where people are controlling what's going on, you'd rather have that coverage somehow.
Absolutely.
Do you think we're going to see drones have you used drones in your events? Or
Oh, definitely.
You have?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the drones, and not just the flying drones, but they're the most popular now. I'm wondering when the federal aviation comes down on the drone people, but
that's
for now,
another conversation.
Yeah, there's another conversation, but for now, it's a new way to get a whole new experience. It costs a lot to put a helicopter up. Put a drone up is a fraction of the cost. So we're definitely seeing a lot of drone aerial views, things that you would have seen only in productions that were professionally produced with lots of money. Now you can go down and buy a DJI drone for a few $1,000s in your business.
What are you showing off here at NAB Show?
Two things that really kind of bring together everything we just discussed. One is the virtual head end, everything inside the network, making it easy for you to get the assets and the resources you need to actually produce an event. So the storage and processing and things that are IP. So everything's kind of IP now, so it's good to do. Network-based head end, have all the editing systems and everything available inside of production capabilities. And then on the consumer side, it really is the social media integration, getting the people in sports involved more and more, and they can't get enough. So you have no problem getting people to talk about sports. Monitoring those things in the back end and having the systems to do that. And more, what's going to happen on the next version of, is there going to be a 4K tablet out or a 8K tablet? Who knows? But the more of that consumer experience that gets better, the more connected they become and mobile, it's what we're looking at here.
Covering tech for a living, I can say, yeah, there will be a 4K and 8K tablet. I remember going from VHS to DVD, and I thought that was the clearest thing I'd ever seen until I saw HD. And now when you see 4K, it just really boggles your mind. What do you like about coming to NAB Show, personally?
It's good, obviously a networking event. It's a place to see kind of an aggregation of all of the technology, hear what your colleagues are talking about, hear what people that your customers are looking at. Take a tally of all the noise. And trying to come away from here, with a view of what's going to happen between now and the next year. So we like NAB for meeting with our clients, really getting our thought leadership together with our clients, and with Accenture thought leadership, we have a lot of publications and research we do as well, and really sharing that with them, and really getting involved with our customers and with the market at this kind of event.
At the end of the day, with all the technology we have, that face-to-face is still number one.
Absolutely,
okay.
It is.
Darcy Lorenz, thanks so much for joining us today. We
pleasure.
do appreciate it. Managing Director, Accenture, Sports and Live Events. Interesting conversation there. Expect more drones in your sports coverage. Now, throughout the show, the next generation of content creators have been getting a little one-on-one time with some seasoned pros. They're learning about new technologies and how to produce for changing audiences. This is all happening at the Studio Experience. Let's head there to see how it's working.
Their journey began in colleges and universities across America. 8 lucky students would earn the opportunity to work with a team of professionals while incorporating technology featured in the NAB Show as they broadcast live from the Studio Experience.
I applied with the NAB Show studio experience because I wanted to use the latest and greatest technology to produce amazing packages. I also thought it'd be a great opportunity to see what the future of broadcasting holds at the NAB Show.
One by one, students learned they were headed to the NAB Show.
It was probably one of the more exciting things that's happened to me in my entire life.
I was excited because, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to send my stuff in. I applied, but I didn't really think that I would get in.
I was overwhelmed with excitement. I was completely shocked, and this is it's an amazing experience to work with other people that are also going into this industry.
With participating companies like Intel, Dell, HP, NewTek, and others, the students get to see technologies and workflows that are dramatically impacting how content is created, managed, delivered, and utilized by consumers. The students hit the ground running, preparing for their role in Studio Experience's 30 hours of live broadcast from the NAB show floor over the course of 3.5 days. The program, developed by the BEA and Waskell TV, gives the students a wide range of opportunities, including reporting live for the most important conference for the broadcast industry, NAB Show.
Reporting live from the NAB Show, I'm Erica Jackson.
Reporting live from the NAB Show, I'm Dan McCarthy.
Reporting live from the 2014 NAB Show for Waskell TV, I'm Caitlin Chastain.
Now that is an amazing experience for those students. Wow, to be able to come to Vegas and to learn from pros and to get that resume tape as early as they are, that's pretty good. I got to watch out for my job. Now, I know many of you are posting about the NAB Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and guess what? We're tracking it all with the help of Red Button TV and Buzz Control. So let's take a look at some of the things you guys have been saying online about the show. Todd Hoyer says on Twitter, always learn a lot at NAB Show, but main takeaway is always a reminder to keep upping your game. Wow, that is so true, both with your job and in life in general, I guess. On to the next one. Andrew says, I'm tweeting like crazy this week on the exhibition and sessions. All of it is great, and he's got a little picture here of something he attended. NAB Show 2014K. Oh, that's funny. Mix the two there. Best year. I like that. 2014K. One more here. Great stuff happening at NAB Show Vegas, Fontanella, Swiss. And again, we have a little picture of someone demoing a green screen. Now let's take a look at some of the numbers we're seeing. We're just seeing phenomenal tweets and messages about this. Reach here, 27 million. That is a huge reach for all the tweets and things that we're seeing. Let's take a look at impressions now. This gives you an idea of how many people are seeing what we're talking about here. 165,500,000 plus. That's an amazing number right there as well. 20,000 tweets. And we have the Instagram number, 5,000 Instagrams. That's a lot of pictures to go through. Keep them coming. You can use that hashtag NAB Show, and we'll be sure to maybe feature some of yours right here on the show. All right, this year NAB is teaming up with Got Your Six to spotlight veterans at this year's show. Let's take a look at the group's latest public service announcement.
Do you know what it means to have someone's back? To have another life depend on you and only you?
Where your vision, your defense, your support
is the very thing that is the difference in their life or death.
This feeling is known in the truest form by those that willingly protect you and me every day.
In the military, Got Your Six means I've got your back.
Today, Got Your Six is more than a term. It's a way to bring military veterans and civilians together.
It's a show of respect for all who served, and a way to ensure that they return home to be seen as assets and leaders.
I've got your six.
I've got your six.
I've got your six.
I've got your six.
I've got your six. I've got your six.
I've got your six.
I've got your six. To find out how you can help, visit gotyoursix.org today.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. Some great star power in that public service announcement. Joining me on stage to talk about that and how they landed so many great stars there. Chris Marvin, Managing Director for Got Your Six. Thanks so much for being up here with us today on NAB Show Live.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about that PSA. How did you get all those people, and are they all veterans?
Most of them are not veterans. We've been very lucky at Got Your Six. We're working on veterans issues, and we've been able to do so with the entertainment industry. So we have partnered with all the major studios, networks, and agencies to really create a collaborative campaign. And one of the things we've been able to do is film a high-power PSA. We do it every year around Oscar time when folks are all in the same place at the same time. So you saw some of the star power we put together in 2013.
So here's the thing, if I saw that on TV, I would immediately Google to see if some of those people are veterans, which is good for you guys because then it raises that awareness. I actually took that second step to find out more about your organization.
Right, and I think that the other important part of it is that you may try to find out if they're veterans, and you're going to find out that some of them aren't, but you know that they're people who care about veterans issues. And so one of the things we try to teach is sort of bridging the civilian-military divide. And so Got Your Six is not just a campaign for veterans. In fact, it's more a campaign for civilians, bridging sort of the understanding gap and getting them to work hand in hand with veterans.
And what is the current state of that understanding, and where do you want to bring it to?
Yeah, so the reason Got Your Six exists is we've put together a collective campaign where we work with the entertainment industry and 30 of the best national nonprofits that work with veterans. And we're trying to bridge that civilian-military divide by changing the conversation in America, changing that cultural narrative about veterans from one that leans towards charity and pity sometimes into a narrative that really focuses on leadership and empowerment of veterans and how they can have a tangible and beneficial effect in communities across the country, in workplaces, schools, neighborhoods. And so having the power of Hollywood and broadcasters to help us convey that message is really important.
Absolutely, and the power of broadcasting is still very clear when you do a campaign like this. What are you doing with Got Your Six at the NAB Show?
Well, so Got Your Six is privileged to be the official nonprofit partner of NAB 2014. Really happy to be here. And we've created a unique experience. Right? So everybody is walking around in these giant exhibit halls and going to events, and sometimes you need to recharge. Right? So we set up a booth not far from the studio here where you can charge your cell phone and you can sit on a couch and recharge yourself a little bit. But the catch is that we're staffed it with veterans. Right? So we brought in veterans who are actually part of an organization called Veterans in Film and Television. They're all LA-based, and they're all working their way into the industry in some way. They all were super stoked to come here to be part of NAB. And they're standing there all day long, so you can go meet a veteran, have a conversation with a veteran. It's the quickest and easiest way to bridge that civilian-military divide.
How is Got Your Six different from other nonprofits out there that are doing similar things?
I think Got Your Six is different in a couple ways. The first is that, as I mentioned before, we're not really a campaign for veterans. We believe that veterans have already received amazing leadership training, and they have the potential to be civic assets. If we ask people in communities across the country to invite them to do that, to empower them to have high expectations. So in that form, we're a campaign for Americans, veterans and civilians side by side. The other thing is we take a very positive approach, right? We take a positive approach to sort of all of our talking points, and we're able to take a lot of the regular talking points you might hear about veterans and tell you where there's a real benefit there. And one example, I think, is my story, right? I was wounded.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have a personal connection to all of this as well.
Right, so I was a Black Hawk helicopter pilot in the Army. I was wounded in Afghanistan in 2004. Pretty badly wounded, so much so that I broke 10 different places in my body. I had broken bones, about 40 fractures altogether, 4-year recovery, 10 major surgeries. Sounds scary.
You look great.
Thank you. For me, though, it's turned into the best thing that ever happened to me, right? Because it's when you're, especially for veterans, when you get challenged to sort of overcome something, when you get some different perspective, that's the time that you are most likely to step up and perform. And so when we see veterans, making their transition, ones who have aspirations to be in broadcasting, to be in the entertainment industry, it's really up to all of us to kind of issue them that challenge.
Chris, Marvin, thank you so much for joining us here. How can people get in touch with Got Your Six?
So we're at www.gotyoursix.org, and it's 6 with the number 6. But if you're here at NAB Show, we want you to go on over to our booth, have a conversation with a veteran, and grab a Got Your Six pin.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Appreciate you telling your story as well. Okay, now it's time for one of my favorite parts of NAB Show Live. This is when we check in with a guy named Ryan Salazar from Broadcast Beat. He's got a funny take on the day's events.
It's day 2 of the 2014 NAB Show. Now we're going to start to work from Central to South Halls, more into the post-production realm. Let's take a look and find my top 3 picks. I'm at the Forbidden Technologies booth with Brian Boring. How you doing, Brian?
We're doing great, Ryan.
Excellent. I thought this would be kind of an interesting piece because cloud is a big trend right now in post-production and broadcast. And we wanted to talk about Broadcast Beat is actually doing shoots in the Las Vegas Convention Center, uploading that footage to the cloud. It's getting edited 2,500 miles away in Fort Lauderdale, and then posted to YouTube and sent to other avenues. Anyways, we wanted to show you, if you could go ahead and maybe explain how everything's going. This is the edit platform that is editing our show right now in Fort Lauderdale.
Right. So in a sense, without going through the entire interface, what we have is the capability from this camera, we have the ability to take the feed to the cloud live and frame chase it here directly on our edit system. And what that means is somebody could be producing content somewhere in the world. I could be on United Airlines flying back from United Kingdom back to Los Angeles and be productive on a laptop through the Wi-Fi on the airplane completely. All we need is 1 megabit down, which is very, very low bandwidth, and 100% productive. We're on completely agnostic with client, Mac, PC, Linux, Droid, and iOS iPads, so don't care the device, we operate perfectly.
So if it's got Java, it's ready to rock.
It's ready to rock.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ryan.
As we work our way into South Hall, we run into Bryce Button. How you doing, Bryce?
Very well, thank you, Ryan.
All right, so you're the product marketing manager?
That's correct, here at AJA.
Excellent. So tell us about the new Scion camera.
Well, the new Scion camera is a very exciting development on our part, and we've been working a number of years to bring it to birth, basically. Sure. And here we are. It's basically a 4K camera that handles all the other formats below as well. So 4K UHD, Ultra HD, 2K, and HD. And working off the sensor, we effectively have a global shutter for a start in front of the sensor, which means you don't get the rolling kind of weaving mess you get with rolling shutters. And then we're going to a 4K sensor, and that 4K sensor, when it comes to shooting HD, for instance, which a lot of us are going to be doing for a long time, is actually scaled down. So here it is in the flesh. It's made out of wonderful magnesium, so very light. It's only 6 pounds, but extremely strong. It's only $8,995, which is absolutely stunning for a 4K and HD camera.
This is really an amazing piece of hardware.
Thank you.
All right, have a great rest of your NAB.
You too.
All right, we're at the Avid booth right now with Matt Ferry. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for dropping by.
So you guys have been garnering a lot of attention for this 2014 NAB show.
Talking about the direction and the future of our industry with Avid Everywhere, and really talking about how Avid Everywhere is the vision of our future and what we hope is the vision of the industry's future. Talking about just connecting people together in a more meaningful way, shortening the gaps of communication and collaboration, a new Media Central platform, which is what we're kicking off here at NAB, that just brings a new level of collaboration to not only our products, but the industry as well, with a new connectivity toolkit and APIs for people to connect into our systems and share information, new schemes for metadata. And that's what Avid Everywhere is all about.
Matt, thanks so much. And I really did enjoy myself at the Avid Connect event the other night.
Awesome. We're glad you could make it. We hope everyone else checks out Avid Customer Association. Comes to the next Avid Connect event.
It's been a great day at the 2014 NAB show. We started working our way from Central to South Halls with broadcast and post-production products. I can't wait to see tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Excellent job, as usual, Ryan. Looking forward to what you have in store for tomorrow, although we'll have to ask you why I didn't get my invite to that Avid Connect party the other night. All right, let's take a look at what's ahead for tomorrow at NAB Show 2014. Kick off the day at 9 a.m. with a general session. This is going to be a good one. New Tech presents Broadcast Minds. Chris Angel, Tom Green, and more will be on hand. 10:15, Disruptive Media Conference with a keynote by Roy Sekoff of Huffington Post Live. At 10:30, The Road to Nebraska with Kevin Tent. At 10:30, Television News Director Seminar. I'm going to bring a lot of business cards to that one. 10:30 a.m. Super Session, Advanced Video Technologies, Visions of the Future, happening in the South Hall. Then at 11:45, if you're a movie fan and a sound fan, you'll love this. In Heroes We Trust, building the soundscape for Captain America, the Winter Soldier. At 12:30, another super session, Ericsson presents Television 2020, Welcome to the Future. And finally, 2:30 p.m., another super session, Camp Dakota, feature filmmaking in the age of YouTube. You can watch that one streamed live, and I'm sure they will be very popular. Now, I'm just mentioning a few of the things available here at NAB Show 2014. There are many more. Be sure to download the app, check out what's happening, plan your day around it, and don't stay out too late so you can be sure to take full advantage of what's happening here. All right, that's going to do it for this afternoon edition of NAB Show Live on this Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your night here in Las Vegas. Remember, we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and streaming live at nabshow.com. From the NAB Show Studio One, I'm Rich DeMuro. See you tomorrow morning.